So, the Darkness video from 2 days ago was actually pretty awesome. Like, I enjoyed playing it, and I have to admit that the video, I think, had more offensive words from me in it than any other video I've done yet. There should have been a little counter in the bottom corner for every time I said the words holy shit. That just ticked up every time.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, it was the most used words in that video of the entire thing for me, and I think it's the times that I've sworn the most in any video. Also, grammar me good at art. So, there we go. So, you played through it as well, didn't you, Fluke?
I did, yeah.
Instantly jump into this one. So what was, like, everyone knows my first impressions. My first impressions were me vomiting a gore-filled rainbow while screaming holy shit. What were your first impressions?
Well, I'd never heard of the game, I'd never even heard anything of the comics at all, and you were like, you've got to play this game, this video, this week. I'm like, okay. So I set it away installing, it takes forever to download the thing, so I got a bit, get up in the morning, I'm like, right, okay then, let's give this a go. And before I know what's going on, it's like 6 hours later and I'm best part of the way finished the game. I've just sat and burned through it all in one sitting. It was very entertaining. Very, very entertaining game. For me, laughing out loud at the stupid things that have occurred or the hilarious stuff that goes on in the background if you really pay attention to a lot of the scenes and a lot of the conversations the NPCs have. If you just stand around and you don't go running through a lot of places, the dialogue between the characters is absolutely inspiring.
I was listening to you play for the better part of it up until certain points, because I was streaming at the same time, and I think you already were sounding like you enjoyed it at the part where you first get out of the restaurant and you impale the guys to the wall.
Yeah.
Which we showed in the video.
You can pick stuff up and fuck, I'm like, oh, that is so good. This guy's like nailed this brickwork across the street with a scaffolding pipe through his mouth. It's like, wow, this is, yeah, I can see I'm going to enjoy this.
I have to admit, by the end of the video, I was in love, and then I managed to tear myself away from it and hold it until the next day, and I then streamed the rest of it, and I went through it in 2 sittings, because I did the video, and then the next sitting I finished it off.
Yeah.
Because I have to admit that it's rather short, isn't it?
It is quite short. I would, well, I don't know whether it's just because I literally did burn through it, but it is very linear. It is very much a kind of point A to point B story. But you can play your character slightly differently, suiting your play style, the way the skill tree seems to work.
Because you played, I think you played a completely different style to me, didn't you?
Played all over the place, to be fair, so I'd be quite interested to actually play through it again with New Game Plus and get all the skills and try them out, because I didn't take any of the weapon skills till right at the end. I was using a lot of the darkness stuff.
I took the weapons, I took the darkness skills and got the executions first. No, I got the hearts first.
Yeah.
To like the separate tree of 3 that's off on its own. Like you can devour hearts and then you can see relics, I think it is.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I did as well. I figured I want to be able to. I didn't play it on the hardest difficulty. Next one down, because I'd never played any of the Darkness games before, but I've played a crap ton of FPS games, and I didn't have too much of a problem. It felt challenging, but
I ran into
easy.
so many issues, but we'll cover that bit in a little while. The modes though, like the campaign itself is actually fairly short. I mean, I did it in I think 5 to 6 hours. You did it in nearly the same time, and I know other people from Vent did it in 8 hours, 10 hours, around there. So single figures for the most part.
Yeah.
And that for a AAA title game when it comes to price is normally considered short and is kind of offensive to some people, because it's like, well, I'm paying, the whole cost to hour ratio gets thrown off.
That's exactly what Katie said. Katie was like, hang on, let me just go look up how long it is, because I said I finished it. Katie was like, what, you've finished the whole game? Are you kidding? What? But that's like hang on, let me look it up. £40.
£30, yeah.
Yeah, hang on. But there's multiplayer to it, there's a bunch of different modes, there is a New Game Plus.
Yeah, there's New Game Plus and there's the Vendetta modes, which we haven't actually managed to like sit down and have a full-on go at, so we're not sure on the length of those. But the concept behind them seems awesome in regards to you've got the multiplayer replayability from them because they're co-op 4-player. You've also then got the ability to play them single if you want, and the characters for them are fantastic as well. Like, they all make quickie one-liners, or they'll smack talk the bad guys, and they've all got different styles. It's very Borderlands-esque in that regard. And it comes through in the way that it plays as well. It's the art style as well, because of the way the art style in Darkness 2 is. Really, you get the Borderlands feel a lot.
You do, but there's a lot more detailing in the... Yes, it's cel-shaded, but it's very, very, very highly detailed cel shading. And I'll be wholly honest, I didn't even notice, I didn't even kind of realise it was cel-shaded till... You know,
I pointed it out.
Well, no, it was a good like 20 minutes into the game, and I'm like, what, is that a shadow error? Oh, right. And then I moved, and I could see the way a lot of the colours were displayed. It's like, oh, right, I see. It's but it's done in that high a detail. You don't notice it first.
Yeah. See, my issue with the graphics was that I felt I wanted more control in the options over graphics, and that was it. Like. That's my biggest gripe with the graphics, because I can't find any other gripe with the graphics. Like it just looked really nice and smooth, and everything played really nicely. I mean, in regards to the
graphics-wise, yes, but I mean, I can't tell if it was graphics or if it was control input. And my one...
You had jitters, didn't you? Is this what you're getting at?
It was like, it would stutter as if it wasn't holding the key down, as if I was just tapping it really, really quickly.
See, I never had that issue. My issue when it came to things like that was there's the lift. When you're going in the lift with the chick, not mentioning... anything too detailed, but do you know the one I'm on about?
Yeah.
When she's taking you upstairs. Yeah, that one. Like, her, for me, she was all over the place in regards to... It was as if she had, like, just injected smack into her eyes and then had washed it down with pixie sticks. Like, she was jittering up and down all over the place. It was as if she was having some sort of seizure or was at, like, a Skrillex concert. There's no other way of describing it. And like, did you have that? Like, was that just a random glitch on my end?
Yeah, it's a random glitch. I didn't have any issues like that with characters or wigging out or anything like that.
But everything else for me was really smooth. Like, the dismemberment was always really smooth and fluid, and in the way the motions worked and the combat worked and the way it
physics
actually...
and whatnot, the way things fail and...
Well, the way it looked as well.
Yeah, like, everything just smoothly worked.
Yeah. My only issue that I had in regards to things not going smoothly was right at the end of the game. I took a screenshot and I posted it on Steam as well. This was brilliant. Right at the very end of the game, when when all is said and done and the last shell casing hits the floor and the talky bit comes, as does with all games, my gun disappeared. However, my hands were still in the shotgun position. So I randomly had my hands held out in front of me in the shotgun position with no gun in them. So I was just
shouting, bang!
Yeah, bang. So I just ran around on the stream going, bang, bang, you're dead, bang. Speaking of voices, the voice acting in the game was phenomenal in my opinion because of one thing, and there's one simple thing that I'm judging this by. This is the only first-person shooter style game where the story and the characters have been awesome enough that when given the ability to speak to a character multiple times, I will willingly stand there and spam the button to hear every single speech option every character has.
Yeah, because it's not boring dialogue. It's done in an interesting way. The characters sound and look plausible. Like the crazy guy that helps you deal with the darkness.
Johnny,
yeah.
Yeah.
And the tick he's got you can see that he's not quite all there, but he's definitely not quite all gone either.
But I think it's also a case of, it's because it's a modern game, like in regards to the setting, because it's today's, modern society. It works quite well, and it's also
identify with. We all know people that are just like that.
Plus, also it's the gangster thing. Like that's how you expect gangsters to be to some degree. So they're really playing on stereotypes.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of funny, but there's a lot of, especially, I don't want to give too much away. Late in the middle of the game, when you have the strange bit, there's a lot of references to the cliche mafia stereotypes. There's a lot of very tongue-in-cheek. It knows what it is as well. It's not trying to be anything. It's not.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's an honest game.
If you compare something like that to like Fable, for example, Fable's a really good example because it's actually quite comedic in some ways, but it's a fantasy game. Like Fable pulls off the humor fairly well to some degree, but it still is a lot more serious. Like it's hard for a fantasy game to be like Darkness is in regards to having the action and
it's hard for a fantasy game to be satirical, which is, I think, what it is.
Because they either have to go full on Skyrim / Kingdoms of Amalur, Lord of the Rings style epic speeches and
ultra orcs and dorks.
Yeah. As you like using that saying.
Yeah.
Or they have to go completely batshit off the wall, out the window insane, like the gnomes in Fable, or something like, the humor that's in... I know it's not a fantasy game, but something like Deathspank, where, it's just retarded humor. It's completely off the wall insane.
Yeah.
I mean, they occasionally can get away with humorous things, like there's a quest in Kingdoms of Amalur. I know you haven't played it yet, but you should. It's a very Fable-y game. But there's a quest in Kingdoms of Amalur where you find a human who's randomly running around and is making strange noises, and when you talk to him, he claims that he's a wolf that has been turned into a human.
Mm-hmm.
And he's then he gets confused and he calls you Two Legs, and he's keeps going on about humans are weird, Two Legs are strange, what are these pants things? It's like, how do I pants?
How do I pants?
And it's great, and it's like and the character, that's one of the best quests I've found so far, because he's basically completely insane, but he's like, people keep thinking I'm crazy, but I'm actually a wolf. And I met another NPC just after him, and she was like, oh, thank God you're here, I need your help. At which point, there was this part of me deep down inside that just really wanted to go, my brother has escaped, and he is constantly perceiving himself to be a wolf. He's absolutely crazy, and he's not wearing pants, and I need your help getting him back. But no, it turns out that the guy actually is a wolf. Spoilers. And so you help him turn back into a wolf. And so, they kind of go to a limit and then stop. And Darkness Darkness in all modern style games can go beyond that. They can go further into the outlandish and tongue-in-cheek and satire, and get away with it while still being gritty and dark and trying to tell a proper story.
I think it's because there's an awful lot more media to draw on in a contemporary setting. There's a lot more films of this nature, a lot more comic books of this nature. There's a lot more in-jokes to draw on. There isn't so much a backlog of stuff like that, really, when you look at sword and board type. I mean, what are you going to pull from? Lord of the Rings,
It's also hard because of the humour. It's easier to convey modern tongue-in-cheek humour than it is fantasy humour. Because if you're doing it for fantasy, you have to try and make words up or some shit. Yeah. Whereas in
this is our world. We know this. We live it. We breathe it. We get bored of it.
Well, it's the whole there's the great line in Darkness 2 when two of the guys are smack-mouthing each other, and one of them turns around and is like, "You see this? You see the balls on this guy? Hey, if he wasn't already married to my sister, I'd have to introduce them all over again just to punish him." That whole you can't do that in fantasy terms. You can't really do the whole your mama's fat kind of
Yeah,
that
I remember standing behind
toilet
two guys,
humor.
and one of them was like, "Oh, so you think the boss is a nut job?" And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And so he turns around and he's like, "Oh, you know, if there's anything we can do for you," and they wander off, and he's like, brown nose, and says, like, "Shut up, big cheese." I'm like, "Wait, what?" The dialogue between it's just like it sounds like most of us. It sounds like, especially things gamers would identify with. It sounds like the banter we get on Ventrilo.
Yeah, and I have to admit that moving slightly topic-wise, the voice acting itself is actually really good.
Yeah, it is of very high quality.
I love the characters, like Johnny is fantastic. You still haven't actually gone and watched the relics, have you? Like the relics that you can collect, he voices, and it's fantastic. But him and Dolfo's voice actor are brilliant, and also the Darkling.
Yes,
the Darkling's
the Darkling
voice
is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because
he's also British as well.
Because there's two different modes for him, and I didn't try the other one. I think I'll try the other one on a new game.
It changes the outfit that he wears. It doesn't change the voice. I was running with Abdul, and he gains like golden shades and like chains and a hat and stuff. But he's still very, you know, typical British. Hello, monkey.
Yeah. Okay. Right. All right.
It's not like all of a sudden he goes like, you know, Far Eastern oil baron kind of voice.
I had no idea at all. I was like, well, we'll see.
Well, yes, we will take them back to my harem and then sodomize them. Ha ha. Chop chop. It's like, no, he's very much, oh, bugger, bollocks, Roger.
He is
Which
a very,
works.
very good character. I do. Because he's not a malicious character. He's
mischievous.
Yeah, he's just very, very mischievous.
He's the stereotypical mischievous as well. Like, he is the small, annoying, impish, mischievous thing.
Yeah.
Apart from, you know, when he's gouging people's eyes out with his thumbs.
Yeah, when he's poking their eyes out or tearing their throats out from behind. Yeah, I did enjoy
fantastic.
the little mini bits of him, Lou. It's
So
all in all, I thought the game worked very well. Start to finish, I think everything was. I can't really pick any major faults with it.
I was then about to say, pick the one biggest fault. If you can't think of one off the top of your head.
The one biggest fault with it, no, I've got one. I can come up with one. Would be the melee thing on the PC. I'm willing to bet it works. The melee works a lot better with a controller.
It's on the right stick, I believe. And
yes,
you flick
exactly.
the stick in the direction
Whereas
that you
with a
want to
mouse
go.
and keyboard, you've got to hold a button and then move the mouse. So I found it very difficult to actually swipe in the direction I wanted.
Oh, when it came to the bit where there's a bit where you have to swipe in certain directions, and it's like you're playing DDR with your claws, sort of thing, and you know, swipe it at the right time in certain directions. I was like, sod that. I just kind of stood there and like failed it, and then was just like, okay, I'm on really low life, but sod it, I can do this.
Yeah, I just skip backwards and forwards up the corridor and used cover more than anything else.
Mine would have to be AI. Out of all of the things that I can draw fault with, my biggest one is AI. There were too many times when the AI was retarded for me. Like, guys just not progressing, or they're randomly getting stuck in corridors, or they'll do something stupid, or they'll randomly like use an ability and charge through a wall. And
I got charged by a shield carrier and killed through a wall, but odd little glitches.
Mine wasn't little though. Like they were to the point of infuriation. Randomly, the AI, like the guys with the shields that turn up. To break the shield, you have to hit it a few times and then pull it off them.
Yeah, the armored shields.
I had so much infuriation actually being able to pull shields off them. It was like, press and hold Q to pull the shield off, press and hold Q. So what does my character do? Starts like attacking constantly with the darkness, while the other guy is just constantly charging me, and we end up in some sort of bizarre fucking dance where we just end up doing nothing, and he then kills me because, you know, sodomy by shield.
Yeah, when they get close, they knock you in the corner and then start opening up, and everybody does. I did get pinned into a corner a few times, but I suppose that is their danger. You
Well, no,
really
it was-
have got to focus them down. They're a tank.
The
essentially.
AI programming seemed really off in regards to they would glitch out and just spam abilities over and over on me, or they would just not actually respond to me catching their shield and they would keep using it. It was all kinds of crazy crap to me. Like the AI seemed to really
I had
let it
trouble
down.
with one of them with the shield, but I kind of got a technique down. Just unload everything into the shield to break the armor off it, and then grab it straight away, and then throw, hold the shield while I shoot at him some more to take his armor off, then throw the shield at him to lock him in on.
I still have to admit that my, even though that's my biggest gripe with the game, that enemy still didn't piss me off more than the guys with the lights.
Oh,
Thankfully, like, I'd heard bad things from the Giant Bombcast guys. They played through it, and he was ranting about getting light guys and whip guys at the same time.
yeah.
And thankfully, I never got light guys and whip guys at the same time. I got light guys and shield guys, and oh god, they were dick.
Yeah, I got light guys and whip guys. The trick was the whip guys were never that much of a problem for me. Stay in cover, pop out
Yeah.
and unload half a clip into his face.
The whip guys were no problem for me, even though I was using guns mainly. The
Yeah.
whip guys were no problem. But
Yeah,
the
just
shield
use
guys
your
and light
cover
guys,
intelligently.
the light guys were so freaking irritating.
Yeah, because they take so many rounds to actually break
Yes.
what is essentially it's a bulb. It's
Yep.
it's like the bat signal miniaturized,
Yep.
and it's like, hang on, I've just had to put like a clip into that guy's mag light.
Yep.
But yeah.
I had to smile though, drawing on the comparison that last week we were playing Alan Wake, where darkness is the enemy and will kill you the second you step into it, to then playing the darkness, where light is your enemy and will sodomize you if given the chance.
Yeah.
It was rather
Ooh, had to stop myself from spoiler in there.
rather interesting. Also, what a good catch then. So, if you had to draw comparisons between this game and others, how would you recommend it, or how would you?
This felt like prototype, but a more arcane prototype. Basically, like an arcane explanation for a prototype-like game.
Arcane as in magical, rather
yeah,
than...
like as in magic rather
Okay.
than tech. It
Yeah.
felt very much the same, though a lot more linear and less open world, because I did like that a lot about Prototype, the running up the sides of buildings and just running around the city doing whatever you want. This was very linear, and I feel there maybe should have been a bit more open world to it, but it is what it is. Well, I haven't played multiplayer. The multiplayer might be what I was after, for just a bit of 10-minute carnage.
For me, it draws a lot of comparisons to... the gory style of it reminds me of Soldier of Fortune.
God, that's an old game.
I know, right? Pulling
Actually, now
out
that
the
you
bag
mention
there.
that, yeah, I remember stepping around the first time I ever played that, stepping around the corner with a shotgun and blowing a guy's leg clean off at the hip.
Sniper rifles blowing out sides of people's heads, and if you catch them just right, you can like blow out their eye and then the back of their skull. That crossed with Borderlands kind of thing. The goriness of Soldier of Fortune crossed with the cell shading style of Borderlands. Because the vendettas play a lot more like Borderlands than the single player game. But the single player game is still cell shaded, so I'm going to draw the comparison just on graphics.
Fair enough.
So yeah. So anything else to say about it before we end it? One word. Go on. Let's go with this. One word to sum it up.
Again.
Again.
Yeah. I'm now that I'm sat thinking about it again, I think I'll fire it up and play through New Game Plus and try out. I think I might play it on a slightly easier difficulty, so I can actually toy with the abilities more than having to worry about my health.
I would have to say that mine would be wow, and if I could use two, it would of course be holy shit. It was brilliant. So, what was I about to say? Oh, yes, before we go, one last thing. What was your favourite execution in that game? Come on, pick just the one.
Probably the execution, just for the entertainment value.
Spinal Tap.
I don't think I've actually managed to get that one yet, because I haven't gotten the number 3 execution, the one for hours.
Spinal Tap. It's brilliant. Execution was going to be up there for me as well, but I knew you were going to say it, so I was like, okay, I'll go Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap is good. So there you go. Darkness 2 on second thought, an awesome game if you're after something fairly short, gory, and a cool little first-person shooter that has not a bad story, but some replayability. If you're not into replayability, then it may be one that you pick up in the sale, because it is fairly short, like 6-7 hours isn't really much length for one playthrough.
It's good fun though, and I dare say, to be fair, most people will play through it a couple of times. It does have similarities with Deus Ex in the way that kind of works. I could play it a bit differently through this time.
My only issue with playing it through again is the fact that you can't choose to play through a specific level. You have to play through from your save point for the entire game, which irritates me.
Right. Okay.
Because I want to go back and like look at the relics I've collected, so I have to go into New Game Plus. I can't just, go back in and pick a level. But anyway, we shall leave it there. So next week's video is, again, I'm not sure. Like I will normally check releases at the beginning of the week and then work it out from there. I'm honestly not sure what the release will be.
Alright, we shall keep our eyes open.
Indeed.
What.
So until then, I will catch you for the next video, which should be Achieve Thrills or maybe a First Glance, and Fluke will of course catch you next week for the On Second Thought, and hopefully your content starts soon, doesn't it?
Bit of luck, yeah. Bit of luck. Got some other things going on, real life taking over, as always. So much stuff getting in the way, but yeah, bit of luck.
Your SWOTOR stuff as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to start easy and we'll just go through and get all the Datacrons and Holocrons, little 5-minute segments somewhere they all are. So if anybody's missing one or two or wants to know where that elusive thing they're missing is, should look them up.
Jolly good, jolly good. Anyway, there you go. We will catch you for the next video, whatever it may be. Peace.
In a while.